What up, it's your boy Sebastian and I'm back. So today is gonna be day 9 of Pride Month. Um so today we're gonna talk about something that I feel like we should talk about more is coping and communication. Everybody doesn't cope well or communicate well with others. About what's going on emotionally, mentally. We hold a lot in because um, despite the world changing and trying to be more accepting in some ways and then not in others, it's hard for us to go through life and feel like we can communicate with someone. Um, so the words for today are cope and communicate. So just in case you don't know, communicate, it is a verb and it means to share or exchange information, news, or ideas. Just like I am communicating with you now, sharing my thoughts, news, and ideas of things, ways for us to get through this life, our lives, the way that we want to live them, as safe as possible, as safely as possible. Cope is also a word, a verb. Sorry, we know it's a word. It means to deal effectively with something difficult. I'm not saying transition is difficult for all people. Some people cope just fine. Some people never have to go on medications for anything. Also, some don't ever talk to therapists because for some states you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to talk to a therapist or a psychologist. All you have to do is have like the will to want to be different from the way that you were born. So with that being said, everybody doesn't deal with the same things. Everybody doesn't have to communicate the same way, nor do they have to cope with the same things. I'm just going to talk a little bit about things that I have to cope and communicate with. Like as in, I have a therapist. I had a therapist before I started testosterone. I didn't have to have a therapist before I started testosterone in my state. I just had to be living at least a year as the person that I was, and that's just to get also as to get top surgery as well in the state that I live in. However, I'm past all of that because I've had years of, you know. Also, I'm lying about the testosterone part in my state. My state, all you had to do was go to an endocrinologist, be older than 18, 18 and older, and find you a doctor close enough to you, or Planned Parenthood, because I know that that's a place that people pick here. But in my state, you have to travel. If you live in the city that I live, you have to travel hours to get somewhere else. That's what I did. I traveled an hour and some change to the doctor that I go to. I know some people who travel 2 hours or more to the doctor that they go to. I no longer have to travel that far because now my doctor's appointments can be done on telehealth and stuff like that. So all I have to do is find like a lab place and get my lab work done and all of that. So it's easy though, but I don't have any issues in that department. But I was put on medication for my anxiety, my depression. It was already hard for me to cope in this world because of all things that happen around me in general. Believe it or not, every time I get ready to make a life decision for myself, someone in my family dies. It's happened this time as well. So I have to learn how to cope with that. In fact, I need to call my therapist now to set up another appointment soon to talk to her. I'm not gonna go in depth with all the things that I talk to my therapist about, but I talk about my transition, my feelings, and all those things, because it's not always easy to talk to, a friend or a family member. So I have somebody completely different who knows absolutely nothing really about me other than the information I've given her. And she's actually a very great therapist. I actually love her work. Even if she made me pay more than what I pay right now, I would be happy to pay it because I like the therapy that I get from her. Um, but it's difficult. Um, I don't communicate well sometimes either. When I'm really in my head, I'm quiet, and most people know that there's something wrong, but they don't bother me. I have the habit of going off. Well, had the habit of going off. I no longer have that habit, as since I've been on testosterone, it's been easier for me to watch my anger. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people had issues with aggression. At least that's what I've read on the internet. That some have it brought out a side of them that maybe they've never seen. I've seen my aggressive side. I've seen my aggressive side my whole life. I actually got more dormant since I've been on testosterone. Like things that used to bother me so much, where I would go off, curse someone out real quick, it rolls off my back like it's nothing now, like it's just a drop of water. So it just goes, shh. But anyway, um, communicating it's just never easy, because you don't know what you can tell somebody and what you can't tell somebody without them wanting to tell somebody else. Like, just like, say, like, people with their dead names. A lot of people don't like other people to use their dead name. I personally do not care whatsoever. My first name, you wouldn't be able to tell whether I was male or female anyway with my first name, so it don't bother me. um on top of that, my nickname is not neither a girl name nor a guy name, and it's Ace, and people still call me that, and I have no problem with that. I prefer Sebastian though, um, but it doesn't bother me if they call me Ace. Some people are dead set against it, and I understand why, because once you have, like, especially when you have like a full beard and a mustache, and you can't even tell that they were born as a female, and then whether it's your parent or not, if somebody called that person Ashley, Allison, well, mainly Allison, like, I've never heard boys be called Allison before. I've met Ashleys, but never an Allison. Or Sylvia, Cassandra, stuff like that. I get it. Like, when they are downright female names, I could understand the reason why you wouldn't, excuse me, somebody calling you your dead name. That would be embarrassing to be out and have somebody do that. Or not even necessarily embarrassing, because some people aren't embarrassed by the fact that they were born a female and transitioned into male. I will never be ashamed of who I am. I refuse to be. Um, where we are in today's times, with all the things that's going on, trying to cope and communicate, they already trying to take away our rights and stuff like that. So we need to fight as hard as we can to protect ourselves from being discriminated against. It's not right. It's very wrong, and I don't see it as child abuse because you let your child pick out a different name than the name that they're using. And as long as they are at the puberty mark, when you start something like a hormone blocker or something, which will still allow them to develop, from what I understand, it just stops certain things from happening. Like for the girls, it stops like their menstrual cycle, I think, if I'm not mistaken. For the young men who were born females, it stops their menstrual cycles. And for the young ladies who were born male, it stops their voice from deepening, if I'm not mistaken. And some people say it can cause what is it? Uh, their sperm count to be low or not to have any sperm. I don't know if that's true either, in case they want children later on in life. But at the same time, a lot of the hormone blockers, from what I understand, are not that harmful. Because it's not to harm them, it's to block out something that they don't want happening to their own bodies. And I can't say that I'm 100% against it, but I'm not 100% for it either. But once again, it's coping and communicating. If you don't communicate well and then trying to cope with what answer you get right then and there, how are you supposed to move on? I don't know. My thing is, sit down, have talks with people, communicate with them. You have to, because if you don't, you're not going to get anywhere. And I mean anywhere. I've done some self-coping that has not been the best. I've drank excessively. I have smoked excessively. Yeah. And then I can get to a point where I stop eating altogether excessively, like anorexic, bulimic type like things. Well, I don't throw food up. I can't do that. That's hard enough just trying to throw up in general when I have to throw up. I don't want to make myself throw up. So, but yeah, the anorexic where you don't eat for days and days and days, weeks, months. I've done that numerous times growing up, all of those things. And I realized that a lot of the times I've done that is because those are things that I can control that make me feel okay with myself. So when you're out here doing these different things to cope with what's going on, please try to find something that will allow you to cope with what's going on in a positive way, like do some exercising, jump roping, jumping jacks, something like that. Find a therapist, find someone you can talk to that is a safe place for you. Once again, my inbox is open. Leave me a comment. If you need to contact me directly, let me know. I got you. I'm willing to speak to you. Well, that's it for today. I gotta go. Y'all enjoy. Happy Pride Month. Keep going, y'all.